Okay, go ahead. We're live.
Hey, everybody. Hey, y'all, as we say down here in these parts. My name's Craig Brown. I'm an officer of Memphis Police Department. I've been here for 15 years. Have been teaching at the training academy now for over 5 years. I have about 20 years law enforcement experience, and I'm also a registered emergency medical technician instructor, and many other things, many hats that I wear at the department. So I've known Kyle for quite some time and could tell you stories of when he was a young child, but I will forego that in the interest of time. And I know he wanted me to talk to you guys about some technology things, so we'll just go from there. I am not the technology guru. Unfortunately, he was not available today, but he gave me a whole list of things that I can kind of explain to you guys, and hopefully you'll know what I'm talking about. So go right ahead with any questions, or if you want me to give you a rundown of whatever of the stuff I have. So.
Yeah, well, one thing that you and I had talked about, we were joking that you said, the laptops in the cars, that was 10 years ago or so. Can you kind of talk about what some of the tools are that you're using now?
Yeah, sure. Laptops were, when they first came out, back in the late 90s and even in the early 2000s. That was the coolest thing. It was like the cool kid on the street at that time. But they're really big and cumbersome. They take up lots of space. It kind of prevents having two officers in the car, which in Memphis we like to have two officers in our patrol cars. It's not the safest thing for officers to be by themselves. So we quickly went away from that. Officers are now using PDAs. Basically, they're all issued Samsung Galaxy 4s now, I believe, is what we're carrying. And those phones are served basically to do everything for us, from taking reports to pictures, crime scene photos, running warrants, tags, you name it, that phone does it all for us. And every officer is issued one of those.
Yeah, and we talked last night as well about the secure network that you guys use for transmitting data. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, obviously I know most of you understand that the information that we transmit and use on law enforcement networks is sensitive information. So it's not information that we are allowed to share with other people or on just an open network. So the law enforcement community nationwide uses what's called NCIC, and that's National Criminal Intelligence computer, which basically just gives us access to all 50 states and I think Puerto Rico and a couple other places. So if I run your name and I say John Doe with the date of birth of whatever that birth date is, if you have a warrant, a felony warrant, it'll pop up. It'll show me that you're wanted in whatever state and whatever charge. The same thing for driver's license, tags, things of that nature. So it's a database that we can connect through other states to get the information that we need to be able to do our jobs. And it's all obviously a secured network that we have to have annual training to even have access to it and be granted access to it because it's sensitive information. So that particular platform that we carry with our PDAs attaches and connects to that network. And each officer, that account is monitored and audited every year by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and every other state has their own agency that does the same thing to make sure that we're using it for the right reasons.
Yeah, my name's John. I'm interested in getting into the field of criminal justice. I'm going to be graduating in December. And I was just wondering if there's any advice you could give me for kind of getting up to date with the technology you guys use, or is that something that, I would learn once in the department, or is there any way I could get a jump ahead of somebody else, you know what I mean?
It depends really what kind of law enforcement you're looking at going into. Being here at the academy, any local police department, whether it be a city police department, sheriff, highway patrol, state police, your entry level into that department is going to be patrol. So you're starting off in the academy, and they're going to teach you the basics. If you have skills, computer skills and things, if you're one of those tech guys, we tend to, utilize those things later on. But partially, you learning right now is going to help you. but there's a lot of things they're going to bring you up to speed on once you get hired. So anything you can learn now is going to help you. Obviously, we still use the old platforms of the Microsoft Office, and all those platforms are very valuable to us. But if you're a tech guy and you understand apps and the use of things like that, it's going to benefit you later on, because that's where we're moving to. We're all across the country. I know you guys are seeing the talk about body cams and things like that, and obviously it comes down to an issue of money. But like here at our department, we're about to start issuing body cams, and then they tie into the phones, and those phones are data linked to the commander's offices. So pretty much the technology is coming up to speed. But anything you can learn is going to help you out in the long run. But it really does depend on what type of agency you're looking at going into.
Do you have any specific
areas? I'm kind of torn between the New Jersey State Police right now, and then either that route or going somewhere like federal government, like DHS or Immigration, Customs, something like that.
If you go federal, I spent a couple of years federal. The more specialized skills you can get are going to help you. You can't just walk into the federal agencies anymore and say, oh, I've got a degree in criminal justice. They'll say, well, that's great, and so does the other 10,000 people who applied to this job. So if you can come in with some sort of specialized skill, whether it be in computer science, a linguist, accountants, things like that, that tends to raise the eyebrows of a lot of the federal agencies versus a state or local agency. Not as much concerned about that right off the bat, but if you come into the academy with those skills, once you get your basic training out of the way, later down the line they pick people up that have specialized skills to go work in specialized units within those departments.
Okay.
Is there anything specific on your list that your buddy was giving you that you want to hit up on? Or, are there any? I know you and I kind of talked about. I asked them, what kind of apps that maybe civilians would use that they would use too, but he talked about the secure network that they use, so they really can't use like Google Docs or Evernote or anything like that. So I didn't know, are there any specific apps that you guys use?
Yeah, you may or may not have heard. I mean, the usual ones, like most departments today have the whole social network thing. We use Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, for various things. Some departments are more progressive in their use of that. We're a pretty large metropolitan city, so our Facebook only goes so far as to reaching out to people, and it's really, you guys all understand Facebook, it's kind of a two-way thing. So we put information out on our Facebook, but officers specifically do not. We have a pretty stringent Facebook policy, so we're not allowed to get on our personal pages and talk police business or anything like that for the most part. But within that, I was telling you about that, the phone that we carry that pretty much does everything for us. I don't know if you've heard of these apps. These are police apps, but you may not have heard of them because they're only accessible to police. But we have the Watson app, which is the app I open up to do a report. You could probably Google that and find some information about Watson. There's other agencies across the United States that use it, but it's basically linked to all of the pages that I was telling you about earlier, like NCIC. It links to that. It links to the state that you're in as far as doing database checks and background. So anytime I do a report, if I put John Doe in as a victim, that app automatically cross-checks that person's name and information against warrant databases to find out if the person I'm dealing with is wanted or anything like that. So it's not uncommon that somebody will be filing a report for something being stolen from their house, and they'll have a warrant, and we end up having to take them to jail after we take a report. So, but it's technology allows us to do that this day, so it's a real-time reporting thing. You asked about interagency communication, like across to other agencies. We do have apps for that. Again, they are in a secured network, but we call it WASP, and that's the Wireless Apprehension and Search Project. So we use a WASP program to communicate across lines with other agencies and share data. And again, that is linked through the NCIC that I was telling you about earlier, and you have to have user permission from the state to be able to gain access to that. So, I mean, go ahead.
No, it was probably just feedback.
Okay. Yeah, the body cam, they hook into everything that we do. Our CAD dispatch system is getting very, pretty neat in the sense that they pretty much track us everywhere we go. They try to hook in and send the closest officer to the call that comes out, and that's all GPS based. They got GPS systems in the cars as well as on the phones that were issued. So they can not only track you when you're in your car, but they track you when you're outside of your car. And it's kind of a remote link. They can turn your camera on anytime they want and record what you're doing and what's going on your call. So, just a lot of I know of as far as apps go. If that interests any of you and you're you know how to get in and develop software like that, there's a big need for it. Typically, law enforcement tends to be usually 5 years behind the mainstream citizens and stuff out there and what's available to you. And it all comes down to money. We see cool things out there. We want to get it. By the time we get it pushed through the legislature and get the money for it, it's 5 years old.
Let me ask you one more question. You had mentioned social media, and part of this course was talking about proper use of social media, on the personal side that may have affected somebody in their job. Have you encountered, as he's laughing, have you encountered some of that, during all your years of service?
Yeah, no doubt. We have a pretty strict social media policy. I'm not allowed to make any statements on behalf of the Memphis Police Department. Anything, we can't put photographs of anything dealing with an on-duty encounter on Facebook. I will tell you that as an academy instructor, and I smile at you here, but there's about 100 recruits behind me in a classroom that they never see me smile because I'm the mean guy. But that's my job, is to be in their butts 24/7. But every recruit that comes through this academy, I do a Facebook search on before they get here. So once they apply and are accepted into the academy, I take their names, information, and I do a complete Facebook search, and I pull up pictures, information on them, anything I can find, I pull up, and usually I haven't had any incidents where it's cost anybody their position, but I've surely embarrassed lots of police applicants by showing them some of the things that they wish to share in a public forum, and remind them that everybody's watching. So, yes, definitely can get you in trouble, and most companies and police departments now do Facebook searches to verify and see if what you're saying is who you are.
Are you at all surprised at them being shocked that you can pull up what you can pull up, and them not realizing that their profiles are public or any of that kind of stuff?
I'm not surprised. I just think people are naive in the sense that I've become I'm pretty good on Facebook. I can navigate Facebook, and unless you understand Facebook and how to do your privacy controls, and you think that the base settings are going to protect you, you're wrong. So I can pretty much, if I have your name and the city you live in, I can probably find you, and I may not be able to get personal information of you, but I can download a picture of you and find you that way. If you geotag yourself, I believe that's the stupidest thing that people could ever do, is to geotag yourself. So I have no problem telling you that if you log in, I'm at the Starbucks with so-and-so at so-and-so location. That's really good for me if I'm a burglar, because now I know you're not home and I'm going to go get your stuff. So it just allows people access to you that you may not understand how much information you're putting out there. So we preach against it in the academy, and typically after the first day when I show them the portfolios and the pictures and the information that I have about their wife and kids and what kind of dog they have, the car they drive, where they live, where they go for vacation, they typically wake up and go, "Holy crap! I need to adjust my security settings."
Yeah.
So.
Do we have any final questions? No? All right. Thank you, Craig. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, up there.
Wait, what's that? You got cut off.
I said, what's the temperature like up there right now?
Well, yesterday it was 60. Now it's like 40 something.
Okay, so it's about the same here. So we've had some cold weather down this way. So,
Yeah.
cool. Well, if you ever come to Memphis, get in touch with Kyle. Look me up. Give me a call. We'll give you the best barbecue you ever had in the world. Is right here. So look it up and come see us.
All right. Thanks a lot, Craig. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.